As you can see, there are two possible types of representation. The full title from Robert Duval, Apocalypse Now, with some changes because of my interest in it. And then the more boring Mignoli-like title, just to say what talk about. So, in the past year, I worked in the large collaboration, large spectroscopic survey for doing science on galaxy evolution. But the last year, I come back to my first passion and working on the nuclei, nuclei with the optical spectrum. As probably you know, there are two flavors of AGN. The easy type, let me say, that there are the type 1 unobscure AGN, and in the optical spectrum you see this typical broad emission line, blue power of continuum, and since the objects are pointed with unusual photometric color, these are objects that are easy to pick up and also easy to classify, especially in the Redshift survey. In this field, I think that apart from the very high redshift universe, Sloan already answered most of the questions. On the other side, you have the type 2 obscure AGN that are more difficult to pick up and select because of their optical spectra shows narrow emission line. There is the continuum is dominated by the stellar light, and for this reason, the morphology and the photometric color are almost similar to the galaxy. So these objects are very difficult to pick up, especially by redshift, and also to classify when you have optical spectrum. Usually in the redshift survey, we use a diagnostic diagram to select the AGN, but this technique, in my view, is quite long and painful because you have to take in account the signal to noise effect on the line ratio, the fact that in the redshift, to change the redshift window, you have to change the diagnostic diagram with different efficiency. You have to take in account that there are intermediate objects that could be transitional composites. So for this reason, in the last year, I prefer to search in the Redshift survey, search the AGN using emission line that comes from ion species that require high ionization energy that cannot be produced by stars. And in particular, there are two strong ionization lines that are the neon 5 3425 and the carbon 4 1549. I use these two high ionization lines to select AGN in the D-Cosmos survey. The D-Cosmos survey is composed by two parts. The bright part that you have a magnitude select sample with 2,000 galaxies, and the deep part that is composed by the smaller sample of pre-selected galaxies to be a direction. And in these two parts of the survey, I use in the bright part the neon 5 because the redshift is lower, and so you can see the bluer neon 5 lines at redshift around 1. And looking at the spectrum and selecting the object which show neon 5 in emission, we can select 94 type 2 AGN. For this object, we study the property of the whole sample, and in particular, we look at the object with high X-ray to neon 5 flux ratio that are good candidates to be high obscure quantum thick objects. For this part of the work, we already published two papers, one by me on the sample, on the optical property of the sample, and one by Christian on the X-ray property. Now I'm looking at the object in the deep the Cosmos survey. And in this case, because of the high redshift, we can concentrate on the carbon-4 5049 line that allow to select a gene in the redshift window between 1.5 and 3. In this way, we detect around 90 type 2 AGN, but because the selection is more complicated, in this case, I try to concentrate the study on the emission property of the object, and in particular, we will try to use this emission line, as you can see in the composite spectrum down in the bottom part of the slide, to obtain metallicity of the narrow region gas. So as you can see, there is in the UV spectrum of the type 2 AGN, there are a lot of strong emission lines. So we can try to use this line to build a diagnostic diagram. This is the line that we employ in the first one, that are carbon-4, helium-2, 6040, carbon-3, 1909. And as you can see, on the left there are our data from the Cosmos Deep, and on the left. And on the right there is the compilation of data that is available in up to now. And so you can see that we double the number of the object, and in particular we have type 2 AGN with very good selection and especially very good signal to noise in the lines. And this is the other one group of lines that you can use to build diagnostic diagram that also include the nitrogen 5 line. So probably you ask me, you flee from the diagnostic diagram before, just 2 slides ago, and now the diagnostic diagram are better. Yes, but the diagnostic diagram that I mentioned before was for selection purpose. This kind of diagnostic diagram can provide us information on the physics of the gas. And if you look, you can see that the position of the object in the diagnostic diagram gives us information of the metallicity and the ionization parameter. So this is more physical information. But I agree with you, and I will come later, that probably is not a better way to solve the problem. Just another piece of information: since these objects are in the Cosmos field, we have a deep multi-wavelength coverage, and so we can build the set fit of the object, and using the program of Angela Bongiorno, we can decompose the contribution from the AGN from the host galaxy and obtain also the mass of the host galaxies, the stellar mass of the host galaxy. Then I meet Anna Felter, that is working at IRP with Stéphane Charlot. She is an expert of photoionization code, and they are trying to fit with the model of photoionization the ultraviolet spectra of star-forming galaxies and AGN. So they are the model, and we have the data. So the synergy is perfect, and we try to collaborate. And we decided to use the grid of photoionization code that they produce to match the full set of the emission line, all the emission line that you can see in each object, in order to have better constraint on the interstellar gas metallicity, the gas that is in the narrow region, and also on the shape of the ionization radiation. So, on the background you can see the SES image of the type 2 central object, but you can see there are 4 building blocks of this work: spectroscopy, the photometry, the clouding, and then the gas metallicity and the set decomposition. And with this ingredient we try to answer to few questions. The first is, the more basic is, can the photoionization code reproduce the narrow line fluxes in the RGN? And on the basis of the first test that we did, the answer is yes, very well. So if we can fit the emission line, we can also infer the physical condition of the narrow line region gas. And hopefully we will find the low metallicity RGN, because this is aeration, and so we expect that we can see some objects we show low subsolar metallicity. There is another problem in RGN, that is the nitrogen problem. The nitrogen 5 to 1240 angstrom lines is very strong in the RGN. And if you include this line in your photoionization code, you got over solar abundance. And if you take out the line and you run again the code, usually you got the opposite, low metallicity. So we try to understand if this is, if the very strong nitrogen 5 lines is really an indication of metallicity, because there is other lines very faint in the same region of the nitrogen that are very faint compared to the nitrogen 5. So we try to understand if this problem is translating really high abundance of the gas, or is just problem just related to gas condition. And the most ambitious target of this research is try to link, if possible, the gas metallicity in the narrow line region, that is on a kiloparsec scale, so it's just enough large to have influence with the galaxy, Earth's galaxy. So we try to link the gas metallicity with the Earth's galaxy mass, because we try to see if we can find a mass metallicity relationship also are actually greater than 2. This is the final, if possible, target of this research. With this carbon for selected RGN, we also have some spin-off projects, one from Nico that tried to study the cluster property of this carbon for selected RGN. We selected the same way also type 1 RGN. I completely forgot in this presentation, but Nico tried to compare the clustering property of the two types of RGN, and it seems that have the same clustering property. And there is also a thesis on this sample that tried to study with the Christian that supervised this thesis on the X-ray property of the carbon conservative sample. And finally, I think that we can look at bands that will have deeper, fainter objects at a very high signal to noise in order to extend this work also to fainter objects, and probably also use the huge sample that we can from JPass to increase the number. And that's so.